Rome, Italy right now, and I'm pretty sure this is the most racist place I've ever been. I've been to Europe before with zero issues, but this is a whole other level.
What the hell?
I'm sure you can tell we have been traveling with these passport sis on their experiences when they're abroad, and today we're going to be looking at their experiences in Italy, where romance, architect, history is very much well known, and black females love to go there and love Italian men.
So I'm currently in Milan, Italy, and today I got stopped by the police. As I'm walking through Milan with my sister and a friend, 3 men come up to us, hey, and then one of them flashes a badge even though he has normal clothes on. 2 of the men have plain clothes, like regular clothes, and one has what looks like a police uniform, and they're shouting that they need to see some form of identification from us. They want to see our passports. Luckily, we had our passports on us. But before we gave our passports out, I was like, huh? Why do you need to see our passports? I was arguing with them. And they said it was perfectly normal, that they just need to do a check. They just need to do a check. So as my sister and a friend are taking their passports out, I was like, wait, check for what? At this point, I feel like, am I being scammed? Why are these 3 random guys who claim to be police officers, why are they asking us for our passports? So I say, I need to see some ID. Can I see your badges again? The next thing I know, they call this lady over with a dog, and the sniffer dog is told to sniff all of us, and is one by one sniffing us. Another group of police officers has stopped another group of guys, and these guys look like they may be like Northeast African, and I'm thinking, are we being profiled? And I've heard stuff about Milan in the past, but yeah, seeing it myself, anyway.
So one country you cannot pay me to visit again, and it has the worst culture of racism that I have ever experienced in my time abroad. I'm reviewing popular tourist destinations based on things to do and what it's like for black people and people of color. My first time traveling to Italy was through the NYU Study Abroad program. And when I made this decision, the only thing on my mind was the pizza, the Vespas, the romance, basically the Lizzie McGuire movie, because this is what they showed us on TV. But one thing I didn't realize at the time was that all of these examples of this romanticized image of Italy was told through the lens of white people. You mean the same country Lizzie McGuire was falling in love with is the same country where they were throwing bananas at their first black minister? Sure is. Oh, but Nicole, that's just a political thing. That doesn't really happen to people. She had bananas thrown at her, I had beer thrown at me, and then I was called a disgusting black woman by this man right here. Well, obviously you did something. He was unsuccessfully flirting with some white girls in our group, and when he got upset, he started hurling insults at them. Then a black woman went up and was like, hey, don't talk to women that way, and everyone on the beach just stood there as he manhandled her. So when I went up to defend her, punched him in his arm so he would let her go, he threw beer on us and called us disgusting black women, even though we had nothing to do with why he was rejected. And I have traveled all up and down that country, and it's not even an isolated incident. Their feelings of disgust are palpable. I've been dramatically avoided on the street, looked down upon as if I'm begging for money instead of asking for direction, ignored by whole adults to the point where I've had to ask children for directions because adults wouldn't even bother to look my way. And yes, io parlo italiano. Italy's got good food and interesting history, and yes, some black people go and they just love it. It's great for people who are interested in the arts and beautiful architecture. But based on my own far too common experience, Italy gets a 1 out of 10 for me.
The most consistent thing I found when it comes to these passport sis when they travel to European or Asian countries is they come across loads of violence. They come across very aggressive situations and people insulting them in different types of ways. And I think this is something that they don't really talk about. How a lot of these black females that are traveling, how safe are you to actually travel as an individual? Whether you're in groups or by yourself, you are still just females and actually aren't capable of protecting yourself, unlike a man can and would do. But because black females, they're very hard-headed and do not want to listen to anyone, what's happening is they're experiencing violence, not just on a verbal level, but even in a physical level. And they will say, well, not all of us experience this. Even under the comments, not all Americans are experiencing this. It's only Africans, only black Brits. But what you're doing is you're undermining all of their experiences and making it more dangerous for them to even travel to these countries by not telling them the truth about what is happening. It doesn't matter where they are from. They're always going to be profiled because they're black.
The racism in this country is on another level, like the microaggression, because a lot of them will not outwardly be racist to you, but when you get stared at as if you are literally like an exhibition, something in a museum that they have never ever seen before, before you even think of coming to this country for visit as a black person, make sure you prepare yourself, clutch your pearls, because the shit that people will say to you, the shit that this white people will say to you, they don't get a fuck what they will say to you.
I was again in the business class section, had a nice area where I can sit, and this was a longer train, so I had like a table and I had like my things on the table. The person next to me had their things on the table. It was like a woman that was with her husband, and when I came into the train, they were there first. She just gave me like the most evil stare. I mean, I just walked on the train, put my things down on the table. She gave me the most evil stare. She was sitting like across from me on the table and like moved all her things. She started speaking. I don't know what language she was speaking, but I didn't understand her. And she was telling her husband something, and they just looked at me, and then she just stared at me literally for like the whole entire 5-hour train ride. There was definitely a lot of like microaggressions, like people just like walking by, not saying excuse me, like bumping into me, just totally acting like I didn't exist. Happened to my friend too. The dirty looks, you know, consistently. You can just kind of tell you didn't feel that welcomed in that country, in Italy at all. That's how I felt.
In Rome, Italy right now, and I'm pretty sure this is the most racist place I've ever been. I've been to Europe before with zero issues, but this is a whole other level. I'm traveling with my 2 white friends, and we accidentally got on the wrong train, and we figured it out. We quickly grabbed our bags so we could transfer over to the other train. As I grabbed my bag, this lady with a baby stroller yelled at me in Italian, even though I wasn't really that close to her. And so I said, "Mi dispiace," because obviously maybe she was like coming this way. No, she was literally just standing there. And she looked at me like I was about to harm her child and yanked the baby away. And when I apologized to her, even though I really shouldn't have, the look of absolute disgust in her face spoke a million words. I was standing on a second train station platform when there were 2 workers coming by in this mobile cart. They were coming directly towards me, even though there was plenty of space. They honked at me and looked me straight in the eyes with the most annoying look, like they looked very irritated that I was standing there existing. So I move out the way and I see them continuously drive near a group of white people. And they don't honk or do anything. They go out of their way to go around the group of white people, even though there's a bunch of them and there was only one of me. I was at the Coliseum the same day taking photos with my friends, and this one guy started tutting at us and waving us aside like we were dogs, as he wanted to take a photo of the Coliseum and we were in his way. He then yelled, "Move," in perfect English. So I said, "Do you know how to say please in English too?" And he just ignored me. We're on the subway looking lost, and the security guards came up to my white friend and asked if they needed help and was super nice to her. Seeing the stark difference between the way that my white friends who I'm traveling with are treated and the way that I'm treated is like, whoa. Like, I literally feel like this is worse than America. All this happened within a 4 or 5 hour period. In my entire time in Turkey, I haven't experienced any discrimination whatsoever. Not once. With all that being said, I am already ready to go home. I think I'm going to give it another chance because I've only been here for 1 day. But if I've experienced all of this crap and rude people in 1 day, I really don't have much hope for the rest of this trip. I'm supposed to be here for a week, but I'm honestly thinking about changing my flight. This place is a complete shithole.
When you listen to their experiences and these stories, you always have to take into consideration that yes, black females do have a horrible reputation that follows them everywhere. Doesn't mean every single one of them are like that, no, but the image does stick with you much more. And even though they already have their stereotypes against you, it doesn't help. We're also going to take a look at how black females are obsessed with Italian men. Apparently, Italian men have a reputation for loving black women, but I will otherwise disagree. It is something that they're pushing a lot of black women and females to go to these European countries and to find not only the Italian but European white men to be with, as they would treat them much better, is what they would usually say in their space on TikTok. So we're gonna take a look.
I'm Marlena.
I'm Tommaso.
I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia.
I'm from Florence, Italy.
We live here in Miami, Florida. We met on Bumble here in Miami.
So, thank you, Bumble.
Thanks, Bumble.
Or is it easier for maybe the men with a woman who's Italian, or is it easier for the woman not to be Italian?
It would be much easier for a black woman who is on the arm of Franco in Jersey than a black man to come in and date Franco's sister.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Guys, Italian men love black women, and I can officially confirm Okay, one, my boyfriend is part Italian, and two, this guy in the gym, this old Italian guy, literally came up to my boyfriend in the gym talking about, you're so lucky to have your girlfriend, she's so beautiful, da 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 da. Then my boyfriend literally went to play basketball in the gym, and sir comes up to me. He comes up to me, he's like, oh, I was talking to your boyfriend, did he tell you? You're so beautiful, he's lucky to have you. Don't let any boy in your life unless it's a good one. Like, Dad?
A lot of black females romanticize this idea of being with white European men, although they are being bamboozled when they get into these relationships, situationships, and going on these multiple dates and giving away their bodies. And all that is happening is they're being used or abused in these relationships and even on their travels. And we're gonna listen to a few black females explain themselves what that is like.
Deal why a lot of American women think that Italian men are just amazing. And you know, it has very little to do with Italian men at all. A lot of times because of the reputation that Italy has as a country and the expectations that women have from coming here. I don't know if it's because of eat, pray, love and all that shit, but whatever it is, women embody themselves more. Like more as women than they feel like they can do in the United States. And because they get male attention, that validates I'm finally being appreciated as a woman. Like they feel sexier in themselves. And if you're male-centered and male validation is what you think validates you, then Italy is the place for you. Now, you're going to get a lot of attention. Doesn't mean that you are actually going to get the respect and the relationships that you want, because that's a whole nother fucking story. But I think that that change for some American women, when they finally feel seen by men, just like, and they can express themselves as women and feel sexy doing whatever it is that they're doing, and the men keep rolling in, like, that makes it seem like Italian men are just fucking amazing. They love women. They are aggressive. They tell women what they want to hear to get them in the positions that they want. And this is the position. This is the position. So many women, American women, do not feel like they can express themselves as women and have men appreciated in the United States. Because really, the things that excite them are pretty bare minimum. I mean, Italy is a romantic country. You can go for a pizza on the side of a little, hill overlooking a lake and see the sunset. And you can feel like this man has planned the most amazing date for me. He picked this beautiful place. When in reality, it's just some place he'd go on any given Tuesday. But for us, that atmosphere, paying 20 euros probably for the entire fucking meal, because like pizza €7 and a glass of wine is $3. I mean, it's so easy. It's so easy. So it's not the men, it's the women finally feeling like they get to be women.
All right, so this is something that I find a lot of people actually have happen when they move with Italians, when they're dating Italians, and which is that Italians make their culture, their background, the superior one, and everything that you do about your culture is the wrong one. It's backwards. It's not right. They want to make jokes about it. But there is a fine line between making jokes and being disrespectful. Are they disrespecting you and your culture and the things that make you who you are? And with that, you have to make that a main priority with your partner, just like they make it a main priority. Italians make things that are Italian a main priority no matter where they are. When we are in Italy, everything has to be the way that it is because we're in Italy. When we're not in Italy, everything has to go the way that Italians do it because they are Italian. There is no winning. And so with that logic, you're always going to be in a losing position, always. And it's not fair. We, the people of color, the minorities of the world, when we date people who are from Europe and Germany, we give them like this, we put them on a pedestal and they need to be praised. Germany, Italian, French, Portuguese, Dutch guy. Let me protect him from my black family. Fuck that shit.
It's very interesting what was said. The thing about these European countries and these European white men, black females, they lower their standards with white men. They have higher expectations and higher standards for black men. Meanwhile, they're doing the same thing to you that you are running away from in America, in the UK, in Canada, wherever black females are staying or abiding, and when they go to these countries, they're actually treated the same, but it feels different. Why? Because the countries are more traditional, and Italy is a great example for that. Is that when they're going on these dates and when they're going to these places, it's a beautiful country, beautiful scenery. You will actually believe that he has put an effort into organizing this date, but he hasn't done any of that. It's what they do. It's a very traditional country, it's very traditional ways. They're very traditional people. And all they're doing is trying to take your panties off. Nothing more, nothing less. And a lot of black females will think that it's actually going somewhere. And they will listen to these other interracial relationships as if any of you even have the same chances as those small few that are in those relationships. And another thing to point out, how it was the white man and the black female who was talking about how it's much more easier for a Franco, which is an Italian guy, to be with a black woman than a black man to be with an Italian woman. Why is that? Because it tells you that she is more traditional. She's not as easy as black females, but you will take that as a compliment. He's telling you to your face you're very easy, and it's much more easier for them to have access to you than it is for any other men to have access to their women, because they're loyal to their own kind, they're much more traditional, and they're not willing to allow anyone else who isn't a Franco in their lives, because they understand what is important when it comes to their wealth, their tradition, and their countries. That's why they don't welcome black females. They don't want you guys to come in with whatever you have in your community, in your culture, in your food, in their land. And too many times, and this is why it's happening more and more. This is why black females are getting to this predicament more and more, because they're pushing this narrative that it's safe for you guys to go and move and date and experience it. But it's actually far from that. And just because a few people didn't experience racism doesn't mean majority aren't. And these are only just the ones that are talking about it. There are plenty more that don't talk about it. There are plenty more that actually live in that country and are experiencing it for themselves. So I'm just saying we have to just be quite clear what is happening. And a lot of times you females are going to be treated the exact same way that you was treated in wherever you were staying first, whether it be Britain, America, Canada, Caribbean, Africa. You will be treated the same way because you are no different, and they won't see you any different either. I'm your hostess, Minute Princess. These are my last thoughts. One thing I did realize in my previous video when it came to doing the passports is a lot of comments were talking about how it's only one group of people that experience this. And as I said in the comments, I will say it here as well. That is very an ignorant thing to say. The fact that you think that being either Black, British, African, Haitian, Caribbean is gonna be any type of different treatment than Americans, Black Americans are gonna have. I think you get too tied up in this whole identity of what it means to be black rather than how they're treating overall everyone in the community. And you will be fooled to think that you will be treated any different just because you're A, B, and C. Because from what I'm seeing, all of them are being treated the exact same way, even when they know they're American, even when they know they're British. It doesn't even matter to Italian, Germans. It don't matter to them. They actually do not care. They will treat you however they want to because you are on their land. And you'll be fooled to think that being anything else but American is gonna change that. You're just black like everybody else, so they will just treat you that way. But let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye!